I love this movie. I think Hereditary is probably one of the best horror movies I have seen in a long time. You usually find like good horror movies. This movie is a good movie. Just like The Witch and The Babadook are good movies aside from their genre. The film is weird, and I like that. It reminds me of the weirdness of 70s horror. Things can be strange and not make sense and be weird and still be really awesome. Like Dario Argento, their weirdness is why they're awesome, and I feel like this movie really buys into that. Like, if you are on board for some weird shit, then you're really gonna enjoy this. What makes it so amazing is that it's a family drama at its core that happens to have a lot of crazy shit happening around it and a lot of creepy shit happening around it, but it's not really about that. It's about the family drama. I was sold by Toni Collette. I always am. Especially her making a horror movie, which other than Krampus, I don't think she's done. And Krampus was like a comedy, you know, so like to see that she was like doing an actual horror movie, I was like, oh, this must be really interesting. Must be a cool script if she's doing it. She is amazing. She's always amazing, but this performance in particular is just balls to the wall, ugly, and amazing. And I mean ugly in like a good way. Like, she's not afraid to go there. Even though Gabriel Byrne doesn't have much to do, he does what he does really well. And the kid, no, his name is not a kid. He might be my age. I really don't know. He's probably not. He's probably like 5 years younger than me or something. I don't know. But he was really good too. Other than not looking like his parents, I think he did a really good job. He was very vulnerable. His performance was very touching. I love the directing. I thought it was great. I thought it was beautiful. There's lots of stillness in this film. I like the director's choice to stay on characters, just stay on them and watch them react to what other characters are doing or saying. Peter, while Annie's yelling at him at the dinner table, instead of being on Annie the whole time, significant shots of Peter just reacting, which I think are really lovely. Not only in horror, but in all film, moments of stillness are more powerful than moments of, and now the camera's going here, and then coming down, and going here, and now this shot, and this shot, and this shot, and this shot. Sometimes just one shot of one thing is a lot more powerful than a million edits in one scene. It reminded me a lot of theater, especially with how it's set up every scene. If I were watching this on a stage, it would look exactly like this. It creates tension, too, because you want to know what's happening on the other side of the screen, but you don't get to see. Some scenes even looked like you were actually looking at miniatures, and I don't know if you were, or if it was just the way they were shooting it. Like, there's one scene in the girl's room where the notebooks, it's just a room and a bed, and the notebook's on the bed, and you see the pages flying past, and honestly, it looks like a tiny little notebook on a tiny little bed and a tiny little, and maybe it was or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. That first scene, when they show you that dollhouse and you're zooming into that dollhouse, they are telling you, hey, you're watching a movie. Let it all go. Suspend your disbelief because some crazy shit's about to happen. So just let it happen. Just go with it. You're watching a story. Go with the story. I'm about to give away some spoilers, so if you don't want to see them, jump to this time. To avoid that. Or I could just say, spoiler alert! I gotta say, throughout this entire film, and I've watched it now 3 times, in horror, if they're lingering on something, look around it, because it usually means they're lingering for a reason. They don't want you to just look at the house. And in this movie, it's a perfect example. There's a shot of the house. Shit's already going crazy. There's a shot of the house at night, and it stays there. It's just a shot. It's just a skosh too long. And when you look around the house, there's a shit ton of naked people standing around, and you would totally miss them if you weren't looking for them. And there's stuff like that throughout the whole movie. And after the 3rd watch, I still am seeing things like when Charlie hits her head on the pole on their way to the party, they pass that pole and they stop on it for just a second, and you can see the symbol etched into it. Like little things like that like when you're first watching the movie, you wouldn't even register it. But the 2nd or 3rd time that you watch it, you go, oh shit, that's the pole that kills her later. And it's got the symbol etched into it. It's cool. It's really cool. When you watch the trailer didn't give a whole lot away. But when we watch trailers, we don't know what's being given away and what's not. I really thought I was going into like an Omen type situation, just like a creepy kid movie. Like The Ring type situation, maybe. So like when you are 30 minutes into the movie and Charlie dies, it's that realization that you are not watching the movie that you thought you were watching that is really impactful. Because of the performances and the directing and the script and how well made this movie is, that even though it seemingly goes off the rails at the end, it never feels like that. It never feels like it's going off the rails. It feels like it's going exactly where you would expect it to go. And anything less than a crazy hell king coming to life inside Peter's body would be like a letdown. Because it's been amping up and amping up and amping up, and that's the thing. If a good slow burn horror movie needs to ramp up to total chaos and total insanity, and it does that in a way without feeling silly. I have very few complaints about this movie, though. I do feel like sometimes there are moments when it drags just a little bit. I don't really care that it's slow because it goes somewhere and it means something, and every moment means something. I think there's somewhere between The Babadook, which cannot be taken at face value. The Babadook is a movie that is very deep in its themes. This is about a woman who is suffering from depression and loss, and The Babadook is a manifestation of that. And there's so many things to be said about what The Babadook is and what it means to her. And then there's, like, slasher movies, which have... you don't have to look very far into to understand what they're about, right? I think Hereditary is in between there. I think there is some dissecting that you could do, but not to the extreme like The Babadook. I don't think that there is a monster hunting Annie or Peter or Charlie that isn't just Paimon. And that's kind of why I love this movie. It is just a king of hell. And you could say that Paimon, this demon, is a mental illness that gets passed down from generation to generation, and everybody's got to deal with it, and eventually everybody dies from it because everyone in her family died from it. You could say that. But there's something about the movie that isn't that. It is, yes, it's that. But it's really just Paimon taking over bodies. And that's what's cool about the movie, is that it's just like, no, it's a demon. Like, it's just a demon, and that's scary. Like, and it's scary. But of course, mental illness is a demon, and I get all of that, and I'm sure that is there, but I don't think that is the true intention of the movie. If it was just, oh, she's crazy, and she dug up her mom's body, and she did all this, and she's insane, I feel like I would feel gypped. And so I'm glad that the ending was just bonkers, because what else could it possibly be? All these things happening, they happened. And that's so cool. It's not just in somebody's head. They happened. All of this shit happened. Paimon is real, and he's alive inside Peter. Like, that's really cool to me. There are flaws with this movie, though. I think that at times it borders on silly, like Toni Collette swimming out of the room. And I almost feel like maybe they did it on purpose, because it is so jarring when it's silly, because the subject matter is so serious and so disturbing and so dark that when something silly happens and it's comical and people are laughing, and more than what, in the theater, everybody's laughing. It's a sort of uncomfortable feeling, like, are we supposed to be laughing? And I think maybe we are, and that's supposed to be part of the experience. Maybe they were misplaced, or especially showing them to people whose opinion that I care about. I'm always like, oh god, here comes that stupid scene where she swims out of the room, and like the stupid scene, where she just like ends up in the attic. Like, how does she get in the attic? She wasn't in the attic. How did she get in the attic? And she's got the thing around her neck. Like, how did that happen? Like, there's some of that stuff where it's like, I know I'm suspending my disbelief, but like, I would like an explanation for how this happened. Like, how did she get up there? How did she get into the attic? I want to know. Like, is there a window? Show the window. Show the broken glass, like something. Some of the comedy, although it seems misplaced, was maybe put there on purpose to make you run the gambit of emotions to fuck with you. I haven't really talked to anybody who's like, oh, it was all right. You know, people have strong feelings about it either one way or the other. And that to me says a lot. It's at least making people feel strong things. You're not going to enjoy this if you feel like you need to believe everything that you're watching because you're about to watch some crazy shit. And if you don't let it go, if you don't suspend your disbelief, you are not going to like this movie because it's insane. It's a slow burn. It's slow burn. It's a slow movie. Don't be tired when you watch this movie. But when you get to the end of it, when shit starts going crazy, if you haven't suspended your belief, you are going to hate it. It stays with me. It stayed with me. It scared me. It freaked me out. It fucked with my head. And it disturbed me. I would say out of 1 to 10, Hereditary ranks, for me, at a solid 9. And if you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. I love Toni Collette. Are you recording?
Yeah, I haven't stopped.
I love Toni Collette. I love you, Toni Collette.